Hello, this is Pretty Guardian, and today we're going to talk about the mobile game that started it all, Summoner's War. Summoner's War is made by a developer called Come2Us, and it originally came out back in 2014. I think I first started playing it in like 2015, 2016. It had been out for a little while at that point, but it was still pretty new. It was something that I had a few friends who played it, and that kind of gave me motivation to try it too. We weren't in a guild or anything with each other, which this game does have and is pretty cool as a feature. But just being able to like compare monsters and like brag about stuff that you got in a poll or whatever was kind of a nice bonus to me. So I installed Summoner's War and I would play it on my way to work. I would just like auto battle stuff, and sometimes even like while I was at work. I worked in a clinic and I would leave my phone at my station like auto battling while I went and would take care of patients, and then I would come back and reap the rewards. I had a lot of fun with that. And so for this video, I was like, you know what? I wonder what it's going to be like 6, almost 7 years later now. This game, I think, is really significant because it did bring us a lot of those gacha features that were not really prominent in a lot of US games. And it was kind of the precursor to a lot of the other games that we see now. Even games like Knights Chronicle, you can tell that game straight ripped a page out of the book of Summoner's War. The first criteria that I have is music. And with music, I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 5. I think the opening tune that it plays when you're first logging in, kind of their intro music, is pretty good. Other than that, there's no real standout tracks for me. Most of them are just kind of there. And that's okay, as long as I'm like not bothered by something, or like if the music's really bad, then I would probably give it lower. But just as a default, I do think it's a 3 out of 5. Gameplay and story, I also gave a 3 out of 5 for both of those categories. I do like the gameplay loop that was established in this game. You have your Sky Arena, which is kind of like your home base. You can decorate it. You see all your little monsters running around. That's where you go to summon things and click on things. And there's lots of little things to do there. And you also have the like world map. You go and you fight turn-based battles with your monsters. There is some strategy involved as far as like selecting the right monster and equipping the right runes to them. And there's also like a really thriving PvP community. I think the PvP in this game is really interesting and it gives you like glory points. So even if you're not doing amazing, there are rewards that you can earn just from participating in that. And then we have the story, which is kind of simple. Like there's no big character development, but one of the things that I love about this game is that it establishes early on that you are a summoner. You are summoning these monsters. You're a powerful mage. They're going out and they're fighting for you. When you fight in the arena, you're fighting against other mages. And I think it gave really good context to everything that you're doing within the game. And that's something that a lot of these other gacha games don't necessarily do. Like you're summoning things because they want your money and all that, but there's not necessarily a story reason for it or a context for it, other than the fact that we've come to expect it out of this style of game. And of course, they want to take your money. The plot starts out with you like working with some of the other mages in your world to travel around and kind of prevent this impending war between the different mages of this world. And you eventually kind of uncover the secret plot of this group of like dark summoners, and you have to stop them. And it isn't very riveting, but it definitely made me want to play through the end. When I originally played this game back in 2015, I did play all the way through the storyline. For the purposes of this playthrough, I actually played through almost 2 weeks worth of the game, but I definitely didn't get through all the storyline. I only made it through a few areas. With the art style, I am gonna rank this one a little bit lower and give it a 2 out of 5. Normally, I think back when I first played this, I probably would have given it a 3 out of 5. But right now I'm thinking about Knights Chronicle, and Knights Chronicle looked a lot better than this game did. This game is definitely showing its age. But I think even back in like 2014, while the concept was interesting and fun, almost in a Pokemon-like sort of way, I don't think it was really known for its art style. It does have a few good pieces of art in there, like the intro art and even the character models during like the story bits of the game. The way that they're animated, I think they look really good. They put some detail into making the characters look nice for that more illustrated portion, but the game itself is definitely dated, and I think if we're just being honest, looking at it from a modern lens, it isn't really good. They do have some cool monsters still though. Now, with the cash shop, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I had kind of mixed feelings on this one. If you've been watching this series so far, you know that I like to see things in the cash shop other than just straight like gacha summons and stuff. And this game does have that. For example, there are cosmetics that you can purchase for your Sky Arena to decorate your Sky Arena. And they also have one that will let you get more premium currency when you click on them. Like there's like this Crystal Titan that you can put in, and the Crystal Titan will give you daily crystals. If you plan on playing this game for more than a couple months, you should definitely get those because that premium currency is for sure worth it. Individual pulls don't seem hard to get because it's only like 75 of their little crystals or whatever. But then I look at like the full scope of the shop. For example, the game keeps like trying to direct you into the cash shop. When you log in, there's like 4 or 5 different banners that I have to click through just to even get into the game. The whole thing just feels kind of skeezy. And stuff's really expensive. Like it wants you to spend $100 on one of these like crystal packs or whatever. That's stupid to me. Your game's a million years old. I don't want to spend $100 on it. If you could give me like a sensible like $10 to $20 pack, I would consider it. But constantly pushing these $100 ones makes me want to uninstall and not even look at your game again. Just saying. One of my friends who I used to play with back in like 2015-ish, he used to spend $100 to $200 in the game every month. And so what I can say is that after spending about 6 months of playing the game regularly, his team was definitely better than mine. He had like all the cool runes. He had multiple teams that he could strategize with. But as far as like our core teams in the game, mine was pretty close to his. Like his was a little bit better, but it wasn't $1,200 better. You know what I mean? Now, I don't want to seem like I'm being too critical of the game. I think it definitely has value. It's kind of fun if you're like a super dedicated player. I also think that it's really worth playing just from the historical perspective, being able to go back and look at like, okay, this genre that spawned so many games, this is like the precursor to all that. This is where a lot of these mechanics that we're seeing come from. And so I think it holds value for that purpose too. But I want to read a 5-star review. I thought it was a good review from the Play Store just to kind of balance out maybe some of the negative feedback it sounds like I'm giving. So this is from the Google Play Store. It is by Madison Jones. I could have pulled this up on my computer, but I pulled it up on my phone so you can check out how cute my sparkly eyeshadow is. Anyways, here's what Madison had to say. I've had this game for almost 2 years. My significant other has had it for 6. We both love the game. It's challenging and requires time and strategy. Like every game, it's got its downside, but the devs seem to listen and make changes as needed. There's always in-game events, and they seem to be updating the game regularly. It's not meant to be a casual phone game. As a current guild leader, this game is almost a second job. I'd say that that's a pretty accurate review. There's definitely a lot of fun things in this game. If you are a dedicated player, you can definitely get a lot of like good rewards and interesting things out of it. But I also think it's important to note that she said she's dedicated time to this as if it were a second job. So not all of us are willing to invest in a mobile game of all things as if it were a second job. So if you were to ask me, is this a game that anybody can just pick up and enjoy? Probably not. So let's just kind of run through our scores here. Music, we've got a 3 out of 5. Gameplay, 3 out of 5. Art style, 2 out of 5. story 3 out of 5, and cash shop 3 out of 5. That brings us to a grand total of 56%, which I think comparing this game to Knights Chronicle directly, you can kind of see how the genre has evolved a little bit. And I have to say, I think Knights Chronicle is just a little bit better. It looks a lot better, but overall they're still very comparable. I do think this game has some value, but for me, it's definitely the lowest of what we've seen so far. And I feel good about giving it a 56% and not a passing grade. So sorry if you love it, check it out. If you think that it might be up your alley, I'd say it's definitely worth taking a look at. Next week, we're gonna be playing Lord of Heroes. And this is a really beautiful one. I think it might switch up some of the scores that we've seen so far. So definitely stay tuned for next week. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, this is Pretty Guardian logging out.